The complainant parked next to another vehicle and started to get the groceries out of the back of her vehicle. And the complainant noticed defendant 1 and defendant 2 staring at her inside the vehicle next to her. The complainant thought it was odd, but continued to grab the groceries. She went to the staircase and defendant 1 rolled down her window and advised the complainant that where she parked was not a parking spot. The complainant responded, asking if they were security, and continued to make her way to the delivery. The complainant was on her way back and she observed defendant 1 and defendant 2 at the bottom of the staircase, and there were more people with them.
Hey there, welcome to the Courtroom Files. So this one from Judge Fleischer's court, we just kind of have to shake our heads at because I don't get it. I just don't. Long story short, you've got a DoorDasher who's just trying to deliver some stuff. She parks where some people don't approve. All hell breaks loose because these people try to confront her, and then the DoorDasher doesn't necessarily react in the greatest of ways, and allegedly they decide to beat up the DoorDasher. I don't know. These are supposed adults. Why adults have to get into these kind of situations is beyond me, but maybe you know a reason why. If you do, share it in the comments. But that's what I'd like to know. I'd like to know what you think of this sort of behavior. I don't see a point. I just don't. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. Put a thumbs up on the video if you enjoy it. Consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already, and let's go ahead and roll this game film.
Who's Jasmine Cole? Okay.
If she's ready.
You are Bruce Kimberking, Nancy Kimber.
It's Kimberly with the K is wrong.
So it's not Nancy.
Yes, it is Nancy. I was just saying the last name is wrong.
On mine. Okay, we'll fix it.
Okay.
Each of you are charged with assault causing bodily injury. You are each facing a year in jail and/or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you.
On February 23rd, 2025, an officer responded to the parking lot of the Bell Rock Market Station in Harris County, Texas. The officer was advised by dispatch that there were multiple subjects physically fighting and that a female was being dragged across the ground. Upon arrival, the officer saw that 2 females and 1 male had been detained and they were put in separate patrol vehicles. The female that was assaulted, the complainant, was placed in the back of an ambulance. Defendant 1, ID'd as Nancy Flores Gemberling. Defendant 2 was identified as Bruce Gemberling. Defendant 3 was identified as Jasmine Brianna Cole by their Texas driver's license. The officer made contact with the complainant who advised she had come to the location to deliver food to a customer because she was working a food delivery service. The complainant parked next to another vehicle and started to get the groceries out of the back of her vehicle. And the complainant noticed defendant 1 and defendant 2 staring at her inside the vehicle next to her. The complainant thought it was odd, but continued to grab the groceries. She went to the staircase and defendant 1 rolled down her window and advised the complainant that where she parked was not a parking spot. The complainant responded, asking if they were security, and continued to make her way to the delivery. The complainant was on her way back and she observed defendant 1 and defendant 2 at the bottom of the staircase, and there were more people with them. The complainant stated that defendant 1 was talking trash toward her when she got to the bottom of the stairs. Defendant 1 then got in the complainant's face and did a push and shove where the defendant jabbed her hand at the complainant and it pushed the complainant back. The complainant stated she then put her arm up towards defendant 1 and then she advised she started getting physically struck on both sides of her head multiple times. The complainant advised that she was able to grab a hold of defendant 1's hair. The complainant stated at some point they ended up on the ground and someone was holding her head down. She stated she was eventually able to look up and saw that defendant 2 was holding her head down and he kicked her. The officer watched a video that was taken of the incident and it showed the complainant getting off the ground, then complainant 1, the complainant and the first defendant fighting each other. It was shown that a male had stepped in and broke them apart. The officer observed the complainant to have visible injuries. The complainant was bleeding from her left eye and had lacerations to her eyelid and had active bleeding and swelling around her left ear. The complainant stated she felt pain and discomfort. The officer spoke to defendant 1, who stated they were waiting for their family members in the car when the complainant came and parked close to the front of their vehicle. The defendant 1 and defendant 2 were wondering who the complainant was because the garage next to theirs was vacant. And defendant 1 advised that she told the complainant that where she parked was not a parking spot. When the complainant responded, saying that she did not give a fuck and threatened to call ICE and called defendant 1 racial slurs. Defendant 1 was not sure what racial slurs were said exactly. Defendant 1 advised the complainant threatened to slap the shit out of her with a water bottle. Defendant 1 stated that she would call the cops. Defendant 1 stated that her and defendant 2 waited at the bottom of the staircase for their family members. When the complainant came downstairs, the complainant stated that she was going to beat the fuck out of her. The defendant stated she was struck by the complainant and did not know how, and they ended up on the ground and did not know how, and defendant 1 did not remember much. The defendant's son came in and separated her and the complainant. The officer also spoke to defendant 2, who has read his Miranda rights and did not want to provide a statement. The officer spoke to defendant 3 and read her Miranda rights, and she said she would. Yes, Judge. And she said she would give a statement. Defendant 3 stated she was getting ready to go meet defendant 1 and defendant 2 when she came downstairs, and defendant 1 had told defendant 3 about the complainant. Defendant 3 went back upstairs to grab some things, and when defendant 3 was on her way back down, she heard the complainant saying racial slurs to defendant 1. While at the bottom of the stairs, defendant 3 saw defendant 1 and the complainant to be face to face. Defendant 3 stated the complainant struck defendant 1 and they started fighting and ended up on the ground. Defendant 3 advised she kicked the complainant in order to get her off of defendant 1.
Yeah. I'm gonna find it. So you did say that 3, Ms. Cole?
She admitted to kicking the
Guys, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with each of your cases. I'm now ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case and not to go back to this location. Do each of you understand?
We live at the location.
They live at the location. The
What is
complainant was a door dasher and she was dropping off groceries.
So she was just dropping off groceries to them.
Not to them. She was dropping off groceries to another resident at the complex.
I see. Okay, so that was, got it. Okay. So like I said, I am going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm not going to prevent you from going back to this location, but I am ordering you not to have any contact with the complaining witness and not to be in possession of any weapons. If I find that you're a danger to my community, if I find that you pick up any new cases, you get into fights with anyone else, you lay your hands on anyone else, I will lay my hands on your bonds, throw them in the air, and put you in jail. Do you understand? I will protect my community at all costs. I don't care who comes. I don't care where they park. I don't care what your excuse is. It doesn't matter to me. Do each of you understand? Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
So do you mind filing no contact with the complaining witness? No weapons?
Yes, Judge.
Do each of you have the ability to hire a lawyer? Okay, we will give you each time to go hire a lawyer. So we're going to reset your cases, give you time. When you come back, please have a lawyer. For now, I will have you sign, each of you have to sign a reset with Victoria. I will have you take a seat in the jury box while they get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign, and after that, you'll be free to go. Keep my county safe. Do you understand? I don't want any more danger. I have only one place for people who are dangerous in my book. Do you understand? We will not get any more warnings. Come on.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, do please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on the video. We'd really appreciate that. And if you want to keep the fun going, check out the video on the screen right now.